this film means a hell of a lot to me, so yeah, I'm wearing the ears for this one. Pixar, our beloved house of wonder, emotional turmoil, and beautiful voices. There's little that I can really say to uniquely sum up the attachment so many of us hold to the Western powerhouse of animation. If I had to try, then I guess a sentimentality for our history with the studio's filmography might be the easiest answer. Wearing out my VHS copy of Toy Story 2, birthday parties caked in Incredibles decorations, trying to convince my mum that WALL-E was great even though it wasn't her favourite, having to pay a 50 quid parking ticket because Toy Story 3 went on longer than we thought it would, sorry dad, watching Soul on Christmas night and just adoring the gay energy of Luca. Moments on and off the screen that have shaped a particular view of animation for many generations. They were for a time the reason why I was always willing to come back for whatever they made next. That was all until last year though, when the reason for my attachment was redefined with a particular dash of red. Oh boy, here I go saying something is my favourite thing again. Turning Red, Pixar's 25th animated feature film, is my favourite thing that they've made. It is to me nothing short of their next big step. It sold me as a die-hard fan and renewed that reason to never fully leave them. Because it told me that luck is what it's all about. That we're so great to have a studio that puts the voices it has to the forefront, that we were privileged to have even had just a couple hours in these worlds that we were lucky to have even seen. So yeah, I'm wearing the ears on this gem's first anniversary. I'm delivering a messy, heartfelt outburst. It's not my usual style, but to celebrate this film that we were lucky to have seen at all, I'm embracing the panda. Do you ever get so down bad that you start turning into a red panda? Look how far we've come that can be a pitch for this movie. Writer and director Domee Shi catapults us into 2002 Toronto to follow Mei Li. Good girl going on 13, stuck turning red with embarrassment, and then turning a furry red when her family curse kicks in, and she becomes a Totoro-sized red panda anytime she can't keep a lid on things. With a boy band on the way, a family curse to suppress, and the exposure of your fan art all to deal with, Domee delivers one of the most truly unique films in Pixar's filmography. A film and story that's as every bit a fantasy as a reflection of the lived experience and struggles of the incredible women behind it. I could go on, and probably should try and make this video something a little bit more than just an onslaught of positivity, but frankly I refuse to hold back. Objectivity isn't really going to be something that's looming its ugly head here. This is just a parade of the pieces that I love, pure and simple. And where better to start than with Toronto's coolest adult. Just behind the clownfish who can't tell jokes, Mei is my favourite Pixar protagonist. Once she would have just been the background joke that Bart Simpson would make, but here she's as confident, complicated, and sometimes just downright annoying as, oh yeah, that's right, actual kids really are. No unrecognised potential, no destiny to live up to, Mei just wants to be the best version of herself that she can be. A good girl. Actually no, the bestest girl. I value what's gone into making her just an ordinary girl instead of throwing her into one of those very specific boxes the women in Disney media get stuck in. This ain't Raya questing and kicking ass, not Elsa with a power ballad, it's not even Jessie jumping into action with a... This is Mei, our most pretty real hero yet. Her strength is speedrunning math homework, eventually wearing her fandom on her sleeve, managing the challenges of this turbulent age, somehow magically smiling when I just want to scream for her. After seeing Mei, every shade of emotion mined from the pretty girl, the warrior, or the princess is now just kind of pretty unappetizing. They just do not compare to the adorable joy of a character who starts and ends the film knowing exactly who she is. Capitalizing on the cuteness of these balls of fluff was inevitable, but way to go on making your choice for the magical puberty transformation animal, just layered with oodles of symbolism. Hallmarks of the puberty experience, smelliness, laziness, and size are just another day at the office for pandas. Besides the colour choice very conveniently representing Mei as a person, the eternally frazzled nature of the panda is just perfectly suited to reflect that tumultuous time where you just can't not let your inner beast out. She could have just been a dog or a penguin, but instead Domee's clearly considered choice works like the transformation in Shrek or The Princess and the Frog do, there only really being one animal that could have been just right for this story. They got Supreme Being Sandra Oh to voice the Supreme Being Ming, so of course she's my favourite character. A bunch of former 13-year-olds also had to make this film with a bunch of mothers, so yeah, you just know this character is just as good. Her first line just sums her up perfectly.
What happened? Are you hurt? Are you hungry?
It's for many people a very authentic portrait of a very specific kind of mum, and just like Mei, she's always herself. Not just a stern face, she's the more nuanced take of failing to walk the fine line between invasive and concern that parents often struggle with. She may blindly embarrass May or just outright ruin her life, but only because she wants to support and keep her safe. I mean, I can't hate the fact that when she sees May in trouble, it is immediately heels off, car slide, yes mum, go. She is a force to be reckoned with, but is still desperate to come to mathletes, making great breakfasts and straight on hand when it happens. Making things easier for your daughter than it was for you is difficult to accomplish when you've never really quite got yourself together, because what mum ever really has? Jin deserves his own Disney Plus miniseries. Just watch him steal every single scene that he's in, going from the best of the background jokes to the genuine heart and soul of the film. In the Lee House, he's never going to quite say the exact right thing, but just saying what comes to mind somehow helps everything. He's the straight-up parent, admitting he was the source of the family drama, or validating May's interests because he knows she needs to know. Seriously, Disney Plus, get to work. I need more of the quaint energy of this guy just trying to keep things Gucci. Watching May with her Dork Squad, Miriam, Abby, and Priya do cool girl things is just the highlight of the film. It doesn't matter who's suffering from this curse, you are welcome at their lunch table. They're all over each other's problems because they are the most supportive friends ever. May's secret is exposed, straight into defense pose. Someone talking smack about May?
What's with her?
What's with your face?
They're a reminiscent look at what friends like this can be that's so effective because Panda May or regular May, she's still May, and they've got her back. Knowing that a friend is uncomfortable or that they didn't mean what they said in anger, those trademark qualities of friendship, they're everywhere in this film. Being loud, being a Twilight stan, being noticed, it's all okay with us because that's our groove. The little people happening to catch my eye in this film is a really underrated area in which this film just completely shines as a standout in Pixar's filmography. Grandma's squad of aunties, Malik the security guard just trying to do his job, the goth clique, Four Town, which I can't believe weren't real, and the ever-enjoyable shaman voiced by absolute MVP James Hong. It's a lovely world filled with people of ethnicities, interests, and beliefs that make the Jordan Petersons and the Quarterings of the world do their little cry face. With presence and style like this, the Pixar look is a distant memory now. Technology progressing hasn't resigned us to those supermodels of uncanniness, but has instead treated us to the kind of look that once would have gotten alarm bells from executives. They are unashamedly imbued with ordinary skin, braces, gaps in teeth, meat on the bones, traits that were all once just considered flaws. They may not appeal to everyone, but I personally will forever celebrate the background characters equal to the leads or the standouts of the classics. Turning Red has honestly earned its place in a Triumph of the Nerds themed movie night. Not because it celebrates one fandom so explicitly, but for valuing and respecting the concept itself. Interests and fascinations that our parents, and even some of our peers, should and care about, are thankfully validated as the connective and escapist force that we know them to be. The people who probably needed that encouragement when growing up, thankfully now being the ones behind the camera. They don't get a chance to touch on all the big fandoms, but they thankfully celebrate the moments around the births of our burgeoning interests. The best of which being May drawing fan art. It's a flawless rendition of the earth-shattering realization of how interests can influence talent and vice versa. How you can use your talent to change everything. Draw Shadow the Hedgehog and Amy Rose having coffee. Or, oh my god, Shadow the Hedgehog with a gun! It's said in the behind the scenes for this film that this is not a Chinese film, it's a coming of age film. May just happens to be Chinese, and well, hell yeah, that she is! A Chinese and Canadian background offers such inviting looks into cultures that rarely get this kind of stage. The early 2000s look at Toronto with the Tamagotchis and the emergence of Twilight is what I'm more familiar with, and frankly downright living for, but as equally interesting to me as the family's traditions, foods, clothing, and home. To be honest, the Lee family temple is a piece of production design that I've paused the film to examine the details of several times. Luckily, neither side smothers the other. Their unexpected convergence when the family and friends sing from the heart in the film's climax, showing they complement each other just so well that I really can't picture the film without either. The whole affair is joyfully reminiscent of that childhood euphoria of a Disney world that you wish you lived in, which is an impressive feat given that it's a look of sorts at the real world. It's time we get around to the sheer pleasure of just looking at some of this. Pixar's degree of craft has reached a point where it's difficult to fathom much of this looking any better. Turning Red managing to stand alongside Soul and Toy Story 4 as the peak of Pixar's current technical output. The way that light interacts with this world, the texturing on the clothing and the skin, the meticulous thought that's gone into the backgrounds, the frequency of so many individual details working inside such big pictures. I'm not an animator, so I can't as succinctly break down what works as well as some others might, but I can say that had I seen this as what was possible a few years ago, I know it would have likely inspired me to walk a very different creative path. It also makes me ask, why the hell was it only on Disney+? The team behind the film don't just take praise like mine as a job well done, however. The flexes with the visuals being proof that just being the best looking thing around isn't the objective. Turning Red manages to swap between diverse animation and art styles to add to or inform tone in its own version of Spider-Verse's dynamic action and character trickery. Sequences and characters are lit, modelled and coloured to fluctuate around or match the narrative's messy emotional haziness. We're done with the incredible homages to spy thrillers or comic books, and now we're knee-deep in anime homages, bringing all this together successfully. Influence from Eastern cinema enables the worst things possible, ancient history, or the things we've always wanted to see be brought to life through methods Pixar hasn't touched before. The absolute king of these being Ming going full kaiju in the third act. It's a stunning visual of railing against how terrifying something like an angry parent can feel when younger. A truly genius manifestation of this generational trauma that's quietly been alluded to throughout the film, that the adults refuse to talk about, tried to protect May from, that's now unleashed itself in the worst way possible. Domee Shi and her team crack open the floodgates for future creatives to please try the same, almost setting in stone that no one is left to say anything animated has to belong to just one camp. Or more appropriately, these choices are welcome at our table. There's no villain in this film? Maybe she can turn evil. Maybe her friends don't like what they see. Maybe her mum or grandma tried to steal the panda. I wake up terrified some nights at the thought of this film having been pitched 10, maybe even 5 years ago, and the absolute horror an executive would have unleashed on the production, but thank God it's just a nightmare. Every element of each decision gets to feel unique or at the very least fresh because there's faith it might result in something interesting. Any Pixar cynicism that might have built up over the last few years is diminished really quickly when higher-ups let choices like these fly because it proves they're still open to doing anything that ensures they don't repeat themselves. They know that they've already aced some of those previously mentioned ideas, so instead they're just leaning into the new philosophy of what their productions are best served by becoming. These films don't need to be game changers anymore, sometimes just being light-hearted is enough. It's just enough to be something that makes someone feel better at the end of their day. Something that keeps the panda calm and happy, even if it's just for a short while. You can only trust your absolute A-team with this kind of freedom, and the team behind Turning Red completely earned the title. I ended up really depressed after watching the behind the scenes because this is the production where I just desperately want to be a fly on the wall. Nothing less than the MVPs were assembled. You've got Wally's director of photography, the producer who's been there since the Bugs Life days, and the dynamic duo behind the studio's best short. You get really fun reflections of them on screen, and behind it, they're realizing their dreams as they make actual history at Pixar. I can't put it all on one person, but it's really hard not to get engrossed by Domee Shi's energy. I massively vibe with her wanting to see something cute and creating just to realize that. The evolution of her film output more than warranting her sensational career glow-up that I hope becomes legend. She going from Pixar intern to one of the captains now helping run the place. Sign me up for whatever they make next, because from what I can garner, if you were just making coffee or copying sheets, then you were still lucky to be one of the small pieces of a sincerely positive production. One that they got done during the pandemic of all things. And in light of that fact, I've got to again ask, why was this only on Disney+? Unfortunately, questions like that got very drowned out by this sad little contingent of people stirring up some negativity. Too many of you claimed you can't relate to it and that was all she wrote. To that though, I say you're just not trying hard enough. Yeah, not all of us were once 13-year-old girls, but we've all had angry parents or been bothered by what someone else thinks about us. You know that you don't have to pretend you can't relate to it just because the word pads gets maybe said twice. I know for some of you being reminded women exist is a scary thing, but this film tries nothing remotely controversial, and it's incredibly important that what little it does touch on gets a chance to become a part of ordinary conversation. If you still can't get past that, well then, I guess, get out of here. You're not fun at parties. Let's close this on a message to anyone who may have only heard those reductive opinions, or might even be willing to try the film again. The film is about puberty, there's no getting around that fact, but at the same time you don't need to paint the film as an allegory for just one thing. To me, this curse, this inconvenience, is a look at what assumptions can do. Mei knows that she's an adult, Ming knows what's best, and the extended family predicts that the ritual will go down as it usually does. All of them have got it all planned out, and this panda is just such a stroke of luck because it gets them to go with the flow instead. This big shakeup finally permits them all to learn, say, and do things that only being open to the crazy curveballs that life is going to throw at you can honestly show you. Clinging to some pre-existing plan or tradition is safe compared to how scary it is to take life as it comes at you. I mean, I'm 23, and I'm absolutely nowhere near where I thought I might one day be. My parents definitely weren't this disorganised at my age, or frankly even dressed like this either, but every time I think about turning red, I remember that I don't really have to worry about it. Pixar's 25th film isn't just the return of some oh-so-powerful voices, but it's a renewal of my faith in the idea that I don't have to have it all together right now. I said in my first video that I regularly seek out media that destroys me, but with stories like Turning Red, I guess I don't need to consume just that anymore. Maybe there's room for stories that say, it's okay if you're just doing you right now. So thank you Domee Shi, and thank you Pixar. Happy birthday Turning Red, 4-town forever. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been wanting to make a video about this film ever since I saw it, and I'm glad that a year later it's finally happened. If you still haven't seen Turning Red, please get on it. It's the birthday, please give it a watch. I know this one was a bit different, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.